Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for joining us today. Get ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high-impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel. It's great to have you joining us again today. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving celebration yesterday. And today we are going to focus on this concept of gratitude. So we've been talking about problems the last couple episodes, and we're going to take a little break here and talk about gratitude. I want us to shift from the idea of a one-day-a-year celebration of Thanksgiving to thanksliving. Thanksliving, that's what I want you to think about, living with gratitude. And I'm going to talk to you specifically today about 10 ways to develop more gratitude in your life. So I'm going to help you to find ways to have thanksliving instead of just an occasional Thanksgiving. Then we'll take a break because these are recorded ahead of time for the Thanksgiving break. And then when we get back in December, I will finish up the problems with 2 more episodes on problems. And boy, I thought this would hit, I thought that this would resonate. But the first episode in the problems theme, at least for the initial weekend, is the highest one of this season. So that tells me that right off the get-go, people are like, yeah, we want to hear about how you can help us understand our problems, help us understand what we can do with our problems, solve our problems, all those things. So I'm really, it's always gratifying. You never know if you're going to hit it or not, but it seems like this is something that you folks are interested in. And I'm certainly interested in helping you. So we'll get back to that, and then we'll finish up the year with a good inspirational message for you to set you up for the new year, and also one on finances, because I've been wanting to talk about this for a while and just help you, especially again as you review this year and as you look forward to next year, 2024. How can you do better with your finances, because they're just so important. The younger you are, the more you have a chance to really set yourself up for a really good future long term. The closer you get toward your retirement years, the even more you need to really focus on. But it's never too late. But we'll get to that. But today we want to talk about gratitude and just how valuable and important it is to have gratitude. I'll take this time to just express my own thanks to all of you that listen, and it's great to see those numbers increase. But I when I think about numbers, it's like there's a book in the Bible called Numbers, and I think it's important that book's in the Bible because it shows that God does care about numbers. Not that numbers themselves, but numbers represent people, numbers represent souls. And so my goal in life is to inspire and motivate people. That's what I want to do. I want to be an encouragement. I want to be a voice of encouragement. I want to help you. So numbers simply mean to me the people. It's not just numbers. It's what they represent. So when I made a major shift in my life a few years ago and transitioned out of leading a church that I had done, founded and led for 27 years into doing high impact living, which is this podcast, which is speaking, which is writing, it's all for the purpose of trying to just simply reach more people and help more people. So thank you for listening. And I hope this is a blessing to you and helps you and encourages you, again, inspires you, motivates you. That's the idea. That's the goal for sure, is to be able to do that. And one of those ways that I really want to help is in this area of gratitude. In my 5 Habits of Happy People booklet that I have written, one of the 5 habits is practicing gratitude. That's how important, that's what a big a deal it is in terms of your overall happiness. So want to focus on that. Now, just a little fun stuff, just thinking about yesterday. So what happened yesterday? Well, according to the statistics, 81% of you had turkey as a part of your meal yesterday. The most popular vegetable was green beans and then sweet potatoes for a start. So if you had turkey, green beans, and sweet potatoes, you're up there with a lot of other people. Now, not so good news. The number of calories consumed by the average American on Thanksgiving, 4,500. So Ouch, that's like gaining a pound right there without even doing anything. So maybe today you want to find a way to get a little exercise and see if you can burn off some of those calories. But it's great to celebrate. It's great to be with family and friends, and hope you had a chance to do that for sure. So UCLA has what they call for their Mindfulness Awareness Research Center. And this is what they've discovered. Regularly expressing gratitude literally changes the molecular structure of your brain. Yes, it keeps the gray matter functioning, makes you healthier and happier. When you feel happiness, the central nervous system is affected. You are more peaceful, less reactive, and less resistant. Gratitude is the most effective practice for stimulating feelings of happiness. Well, there you go. There you go. There it is. And there are so many other studies that have been done in regards to gratitude and the link to happiness. I mean, it's really remarkable. But also in things like helps you to sleep better, you have less depression and anxiety. I mean, there's just overwhelming reasons why you would want to practice gratitude. There's just the evidence. If you want to be healthier, happier, you want to sleep better, and you want to have less anxiousness and depressive moods, then the answer is thanksliving. Thanksliving, not just one day's Thanksgiving, but living with gratitude. And that's what I want to encourage you to do today. But again, if you know me, you know that I am not the guy that says, hey, you should do this, and then not tell you how you can do it. That I am always about helping people with the practical ways in which they can do it. So today, 10 ways to develop more gratitude. Gratitude, again, it's and this is important. It's a choice. It's not an emotion. It's a choice. You choose to be thankful. You choose to have gratitude. So and again, one of my famous things, you can act your way into a feeling. I'm a huge believer in this concept. So if you haven't heard me talk about it, and if you don't feel like doing something, just start doing it, and you can act your way into actually feeling like it. So you don't feel like working out, just start working out, and pretty soon you start feel like you want to work out. You don't feel like you want to be someone who's appreciative and has gratitude and is thankful. Just start doing it. And you can act your way right into a feeling instead of waiting for the feelings before you decide to act. Huge shift there. And it's so simple, but act your way into feelings. So gratitude's a choice. It's not an emotion. So how can you develop more gratitude in your life? And I want to just do some ways that I think are pretty basic, and some that I think maybe are a little different. And let's start with one, which is to get out in nature. Yeah, get out in nature. See the beauty of nature. First, maybe it's sort of just on a mental level, but it'll move down that 12 inches from your brain to your heart. It'll sink in there. I hadn't been out in nature as much as I usually am for a variety of reasons. And those of you that listen know I talked about a few episodes ago about a trip I took, and that was all cities, Vienna, Prague, Budapest, great. I mean, fantastic, but not nature, not really the nature. There's actually a great national park just over the border of Czech Republic and Germany, but just didn't have time to get there. So I said to my wife, I said, we got to get out in nature. And then there's just been several reasons why it hasn't happened. And finally, a couple weekends ago, we went and did a hike at a place called Crabtree Falls, which, believe it or not, are the highest falls east of the Mississippi. But it's important to understand that they're not really much of falls. It's true that water starts at the top and does end at the bottom, but it's nothing. I mean, this is not Yosemite Falls. I've been to Iguazu Falls and on the border of Paraguay and Brazil, and Niagara Falls. I was just there this summer, and I'd seen some the Gullfoss falls in Iceland. I mean, I like waterfalls. I've seen a lot of cool ones. This is not anything like those, but technically it's the highest east of the Mississippi. But the point really wasn't to see the waterfall. It was just to take that hike and just being out in nature once again, and just the beauty of nature and fall and the leaves. This was peak season in the Blue Ridge Mountain area of Virginia, and it's just gorgeous. And when you get out in nature, it will develop more gratitude in you. You'll just appreciate God's creation and natural beauty, and it'll just be a real way of kind of resetting your mind. So I would just highly encourage you. And by the way, you don't have to go on some fancy trip to be able to be out in nature. And that wasn't a fancy trip we went on, but it was a trip. But little bit of a day trip, but you can do it. You can do it. Just go to a park, state park, or whatever it might be, mountains, water, lakes, rivers, ocean, wherever you live. Get out in nature. And then here's one that is a little more classic, I think, and that is telling someone that you appreciate them. Dinner was great. Thanks for being there for me. You're a really good friend. Just being someone who appreciates on a regular basis, not an occasional basis. That's important, because a lot of times we just don't, we do it, but we don't do it enough to develop more gratitude. And, along this sort of line is just a couple of things that I've done over the years. One is writing an appreciation letter. I know this is wild, the actual writing of letters. And of course you can do an email, and I don't think you can do a text. I think it's got to be a little more content to it than that. But, it means a lot. It means a lot to people. And the others is actually a handwritten thank you note. I have literally visited people's homes, and on their kitchen refrigerator, stuck up there with a magnet, is a thank you note that I wrote to them at some point in time, thanking them and appreciating them in that context for their volunteering and for their help in serving in the church. And it's just, it's amazing. And I don't think people, are like, oh, Rick's coming over, we should put that up here. I think it's something that means a lot to people. So I would just encourage you, write an appreciation letter, send a thank you note, tell people verbally, and do it on a regular basis. And what you'll find is, again, the more that you are thanking and appreciating, the more you are developing this attitude of gratitude that will just really, really, really bless your life. Another way is to do something nice for someone that you don't even know. Just do something nice. The sort of the pay it forward type thing. You just pay for the person's item, that is behind you in the checkout line. You let somebody else take the better parking space. You do something that really is just a nice thing. You don't even know this person, but you give them, you just sort of give them a little blessing that day, and you share some kindness for no particular reason. And what you'll find is, of course, that can really make someone's day. I mean, it seems funny, something small like that. And of course, you just never know. I mean, someone could be standing at a checkout line and be like, oh man, I hope I have enough money to pay for this. And, then you bail them out of that stress. And I mean, it's just a burden lifted off their shoulders. It could be something like that. But it could be something smaller, just puts a smile on somebody's face. But it's good for you too, I mean, it'll make you feel good. And again, this sort of strengthens the gratitude muscles, and makes the correct connections in your brain. And this is all scientifically provable, be like, yeah, I should be more this way, because your brain will tell you, yeah, this makes you feel good. You should keep doing it. Another is volunteering. Now, I'm, of course, a humongous believer in volunteering in a church. In my opinion, there's nothing, especially in a larger church, there's just nothing like the amount of different opportunities that you can have in one place. And you can go in the community and you can find opportunities, but you'd have to go many, many, many places to find what you can find all in the one-stop shop of the church. You just think about, we had people with our food bank, for instance, serving there. We had people serving in the children's ministry and in the nursery, helping kids. You had people that were serving in ushering and greeting, and people serving on the stage with musical gifts, and on 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 it goes. People who build sets for special things, events and presentations, people who fix stuff, people, it's just, big events, people, it take hundreds of people to put on a big event, and all those folks are out there, and it's just a good thing. So certainly helping those in need in the community, lending a helping hand to those less fortunate is by all means a great thing to do. I do think that the best way to do it on a regular basis is to do it within your church, because there's so many opportunities and you're doing it for the Lord, and it will, the whole idea there is, you're blessed to be a blessing. So you're blessed, and out of the blessings and the gratitude you have for God's goodness in your life, you bless other people. And of course, then when you bless them, they turn around and bless you back. It's just it's just an absolute marvelous circle. And it just works so well. Speaking of blessings, here's another way, and that is just really being thankful for special blessings in your life. So maybe identify five great things in your life, just 5 things that you're just like, man, this is good. This is a really great thing that I have in my life, and I'm just so thankful for it. I'm so thankful that I have it. And you say, well, I don't know what that would be. You just need to take some time then and think about it, because you should be able to come up with 5 that you can just point to and say, yeah, this is really great. Could be one of your parents that's just been a great supporter to you and to this day really just helps you. It could be your spouse and how they have just been such a blessing to you. Could be your children if you're a parent. Could be your job and your career and how much fulfillment that you get out of doing that. Certainly could be your relationship with Jesus and how that is just given purpose and meaning to your life in a way that's just impossible to really get in any other kind of way. So there's all kinds of ways that you can, do it, but do it in the sense of just kind of spend some time just really pondering. But if you begin to just really focus on the blessings, I'll tell you another one is, having just come back from the doctor, is health. The enormous blessing of health. And the verse of the day that I did on YouVersion recently, and I told the story of doing that 5-hour hike. And so I've had some people come to me and say, I just can't believe that you were able to do that. Just 5 hours of nonstop climbing and then going down with the pounding and the difficulty that is, and outside, the tallest building in the world is basically the same height, but, and the tallest building in the world, if you were ever to skip the elevator and take the stairs, which is pretty, demanding and pretty daunting task, it would be on nice flat steps and air-conditioned building. That's different. So the ability to be able to do that, the more I reflect on that, it's just, the ability to have health is just something that you have to be thankful for. And of course you lose it, and all of a sudden you realize, boy, oh boy, I took this for granted, and I shouldn't have taken it for granted, because I'm really blessed in so many ways. So just being thankful for your, what we'll call special blessings. Here's another, look for new things. Like a great exercise is just to spend one day in your travels and look for new things that you haven't seen before. Maybe 10 new things. And, what you'll find is that when you focus on the new things instead of the old things and maybe the things that bring you down or cause you to not feel gratitude or to be thankful, you'll see how it just shifts your mindset. So you have a moment, that you can kind of get away from your regular life demands, burdens, challenges. You have a moment to just go, I'm going to just ponder and think about these things. The situation doesn't change, but you change. And you come to this realization that, wow, there are some cool new things that are happening in my community, in my life. Things that make my life easier and make my life better. Things that I enjoy. Yeah, I like that new restaurant that opened. That store that I used to have to travel across town to, now they opened one and I don't have to go far anymore. You can find them if you just, under the heading new, there's a lot of new stuff. And when you realize that, you can begin to have gratitude for how the new blesses your life. New technology can just really, but I just say, just think about, we were talking about money, and again, we'll talk about it several episodes from now, but the world of investing has changed so much. You used to have to go through a stockbroker, he'd have to pick your stock, you'd have to, if he'd either pick your stocks, you say, I want to invest in this stock, and have to put an order in and all this. Now you can just go on an app and boom, boom, boom. It's fantastic. You can be connected to wealth that other people, only the rich really had, and now anybody can have it. Just as an example of something, if you think, I don't know how thankful I am, well, start doing that and start making some money. And again, the greatest thing about investing, making money without working, and all of a sudden you're going to go, wow, I just made enough money on that investment to take a vacation that I've been wanting to take. Now you have a lot of gratitude. Something to ponder and consider. Here's another way. Just remembering what you've accomplished. Wherever you might be in your life right now, maybe, you're not feeling that great about things at this moment, but looking back, not looking back with regret on the past, but looking back and going, yeah, I did do that. And yes, I did do that. And I made it through that dark time in my life. And I did graduate from that. And I did receive that award. And I did accomplish that. And before you know it, wow, God really has helped me to do a lot of cool stuff. I really have done more than I realized with my life. But we can so easily not notice that because we get wrapped up in what we don't have or what isn't working, or however you want to look at it. So this is just a way to be able to say, you know what, I have accomplished a lot, and I'm really thankful for the opportunities that God has given me to be able to do that. All right, here's another. Being thankful for your financial provision. Talking about investing in money and all those sorts of things, it's really, I think, important to just say, I got a place to live. I got food. I got a car. I got clothes. Get to take vacations. And you say, well, maybe some of those don't apply to you. Maybe they don't apply to you yet. They can. I'm thankful for, the job that I have. And the fact that even if I don't love it, it still provides money for me. And, just really pondering, what it would be like if that financial provision all of a sudden disappeared. Would not be good. would not be good. So being able to be thankful for those blessings that in fact you do have. Don't ever, forget the financial provisions. Where would you be without them? Here's one that I think is, I thought about this stuff. I should include this. And thankful for your pets. Maybe you don't have pets, but the statistics are phenomenal how many people do have dogs, cats, other kinds of animals. I just read a story about someone's parrot that got left in customs for 3 months over some paperwork issue. And when finally got the parrot back, the first thing the parrot said to the people was, "I love you." That's kind of wild, right? Like a bird. Love you, miss you. But, you think about just how these pets just bring so much happiness and joy. I'm sure you've read, these sorts of things, but, the one that says, for you as a person, your pet will be one of several that you can potentially have. This is the 4th dog in my life that I've had. And, you think, gosh, all the way back to being a kid. In fact, my first dog was Teddy, a boy with a Y. My dog I have now is Teddy, a girl with an I. But the idea is you'll have a number of pets in your life, but your pet will only have you. Their whole life will only be with you. And so these dogs, these animals, they're just amazing how they just have this unconditional love, how they have this excitement when you come home. What other person jumps up and down when you come home? Nobody. Your dog will. And just being able to appreciate the kind of things that they do that make you laugh, and the kind of companionship that they bring. So just just really kind of saying, I'm thankful for these pets that are in my life, and how they just, add to my life. They don't replace people, but it's a great addition. It's a great addition beyond people. So something to focus on and consider. And that leads to this one, which is special people in your life. Just really having gratitude for those special people that are in your life. You've had special people that, just, it could go all the way back to a teacher, to a coach, to a mentor, boss, spouse, child, buddy, roommate, college friend, partner in business. There's just really people that, they mean a lot. In fact, they're the kind of people that you ought to take to lunch, treat them to lunch, give them a compliment, leave them a sticky note, tell them how much they mean to you and how much you appreciate them, because these people really do enrich your life in so many ways. And it's amazing. I've taken a lot of people out to lunch in my time, and I'll tell you something. People always like a free lunch. People like a little sticky note of appreciation. A compliment does not get turned down. So just being able to say, there's just really some special people in my life, and I want to be thankful and appreciative for them. So there you have 10 different ways that you can really transition from a one-day Thanksgiving celebration to a life of thanksliving. And I think thanksliving is the way to go. I think the attitude of gratitude, all the evidence would tell you, it's just going to make you a happier and healthier person. So as you just are able to say, thank you, God, because really, all these things ultimately come from Him. Thank you, God, for these 10 ways that I'm able to really develop more gratitude and thanksgiving in my life. It will bless you in so many ways. So let's just make this not just an occasional thing, having just celebrated the holiday, but let's make it an all-the-time thing to develop more and more gratitude in our lives. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.